Hey guys, it's John here from Sonic Drive Studio. I hope you're all doing well. Who's ready for a new and exciting tone adventure? This is going to be fun and interesting because today we're going to experiment with quad tracking and also blending amplifiers using these two wonderful legendary high gain amps, the Mesa Boogie Dual Rectifier and the Peavey 6505. They both have tones that complement each other very well. The Rectifier sounds very scooped and sort of sizzly on the top end, and the 6505 has a much more chunky mid-range, less top end, and a more tight low end. So much less scooped than the Rectifier basically. And that really works well together. You guys have been suggesting doing videos about blending amplifiers for years now actually, so it's finally time. However, it got me thinking, and there basically are many ways to approach this. I want to do more videos about blending amplifiers in the future, that's for sure. But first I want to explore some different methods and compare them just to see which method works for me. And I think this will be interesting and a lot of fun as well, of course. Let's start by taking a look at the concept of quad tracking. I guess you're familiar with the term double tracking, right? It means that you basically play the same part twice and usually pan them hard left and right for a wider stereo image. Well, with quad tracking, you basically do the same thing twice. So you play the part 4 times, pan 2 of the takes on the left side and the other 2 on the right side. Let's explore that concept and compare double-tracked riffs to quad-tracked riffs with both amplifiers. And we're going to start with the Mesa Boogie Dual Rectifier. I recorded the riffs with my ESP LTD Phoenix Arctic Metal with the EMG pickup in it, so that's an active pickup. The amps are going into my Red 7 Amp Central reactive load and then into York Audio impulse responses. The Mesa Rectifier is going into the MES 412 OS cabinet on Mic Mix 01, and the 6505 is going through the York 212 DV77 cab, also on Mic Mix 01. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the double-tracked versus quad-tracked riffs with the Dual Rectifier first. Okay, and now the same concept with the Peavey 6505. Interesting, right? The quad-tracked parts have a very larger than life sound to them, so they sound huge basically, but the double-tracked parts have a bit more definition. Now, when you blend amplifiers together, there are many ways to go about it. Let's explore the concept of double tracking versus quad tracking when using two amplifiers. In the first way, you can just double track guitars, so one on the left side and one on the right side, and then use the DI on the left side for both amplifiers and the DI on the right side also for both amplifiers. So that's 2 takes and 2 amps per take in total. But I know from experience that this can cause weird phasing issues sometimes. Let's compare the sound of that concept versus quad tracking. And with the quad tracking, what I'll do is I'll use one individual DI per amplifier on each side. So basically on one side we have 2 tracks going on, and each track has a different amplifier with the same thing going on the other side. I hope you're still following this, by the way. It's getting a bit complicated, but I'm sure it will make sense in the end. Quick note though, I did try the double tracking approach with 2 amplifiers per 1 DI, but it sounded really out of phase. So what I'm going to do to sort of remedy this is flip the phase on the 6505 tracks for that double tracked part. Let's go ahead and check out that comparison right now. Okay, so I think we've established that the quad tracking method sounds much better in this case, for my taste anyway. I know that some artists do use the method of using 2 amplifiers with 1 DI track, and to be honest, sometimes on those records the guitars do sound a little bit weird and phasey. But yeah, the quad track method sounds pretty huge. Now the weird and phasey sound on the double tracked guitars perhaps could be remedied by shifting the wave files of the other amp a little bit by a couple of milliseconds or something like that. But I'm not really sure about that, but I'm very interested in knowing more about that method, so if you guys have any ideas about that, do let me know in the comments down below. Another way to do this amp blending thing is by putting one amp on the right and the other on the left. And again, you could do this with double tracked parts, so put one DI with one amplifier on one side and another DI with another amplifier on the other side. Or you could do quad tracking with 2 DIs on each side and using one amplifier for these 2 DIs and the other amplifier for these 2 DIs. Let's compare these 2 options, so the double tracked to the quad tracked option, with the rectifier on the left side and the 6505 on the right side. Now that sounded pretty good in my opinion. This option really helps to keep the stereo image wide, since you're separating the sounds of the amplifiers by the stereo image. Whether double tracking or quad tracking is better is up for debate. I'm sort of leaning to the double tracked option, since the definition on the notes and chords and all that is just a bit better. With the quad tracking, the notes smear out more basically. Perhaps the ultimate way of doing this would be by quad tracking and putting both amps on both sides, but by lowering the level of one of the amplifiers on one side and doing the opposite on the other side, so that each side has a dominating amp, so to speak. So I will lower the level of the 6505 on the left side by 5 decibels, and I will lower the level of the rectifier on the right side also by 5 decibels. Let's give that a go and see how that sounds. Okay, that sounded absolutely massive. I guess for me, if I were to blend amplifiers and use quad tracking, that would be the method of choice. At least for these types of very heavy high gain tones. I had a lot of fun here and I thought that this was very interesting indeed. And since I'm planning on doing more amplifier blend videos in the future, which method or methods do you think I should use primarily for those videos? I'm leaning towards the double tracking method, so 1 amp on each side with 1 DI each, or doing that quad tracking method with both amps on both sides and putting 1 amp louder here and the other amp louder here, so having 1 dominant amp on each side. Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are and what your preferred methods would be. That's all for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please drop a like and a subscribe along with the notification bell, as that really helps the channel out. I'd usually appreciate it. And it will also keep you up to date on all my activities. You can also follow Sonic Drive Studio on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys very, very soon. Cheers!